Hello, listeners, and welcome to this episode of the R Retro Gaming Podcast. Our guest today is Kerri Ann Hoskins Reavis, who played Sonya Blade in Mortal Kombat 3.
Hi, Kerri. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Really good. I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much for joining us. My name is Rob. I'm the host of the Retro Gaming Podcast. Joining me today is Zach. Zach represents our younger retro gaming fans. Hey, Zach, how's it going, man?
Good, man.
Hi, Zach.
Enjoying this.
And then we also have Candi, and Candi is representing the female gamer point of view from the interview panel. Candi, how's it going?
Pretty good. How's it going, Kerri? Thank
Hi,
you for joining us.
Okay. So, Kerri, my first question is how did you transition from modeling to being in Mortal Kombat?
I had, I'm trying to think 25 years back here.
Sure.
I had been working with Playboy for quite a while doing production work.
Sure.
And somebody had called in. It was Jack Hagar, who from Midway Valley at the time. He needed some cheerleaders for the game NBA Jam. And I was in the office and I happened to answer the call, so I had set up those models for him, including myself, of course. So it was just me and another model. And we did NBA Jam first, and then NBA Jam led to other games, and then, of course, Mortal Kombat came around after that.
So how different was it doing the moves in Mortal Kombat versus posing as a model?
It was a lot more fun, that's for sure. I had some training and stunt work early on with boxing and WWF wrestling. So, and plus, with martial arts and gymnastics and all that was my background. So all the stuff that they wanted me to do, I was like, sure, no problem. And we had a lot of fun shooting it.
You didn't need any on-the-job training?
No, I was basically mimicking a martial artist on the side, because at that time I had very minimal training in martial arts. My training didn't really come into play until I went on tour with 20 other black belts. We toured the U.S. for the Mortal Kombat tour for about a year.
Wow.
And I
remember that.
trained in the Catskill Mountains for 3 months, 12 hours a day. So that was great training.
How much of that has stuck with you?
Oh gosh, a lot. I still kick my kids' butt.
Especially
my daughter.
Have you, that was my next question, have you transferred any of those skills to your daughter?
No, she's still a weakling. She's 16 and she thinks she can overcome me, but every time she tries, I put her in her place.
Well, you can do fatalities, and she can't.
Yeah, no kidding.
So, working on there, did you form any close friendships that you still maintain?
Yeah, through the game. Leah Montalongo. We keep in touch, and we're pretty close.
And what about, I've met you before actually on tour at expos. Have you made closer friends to some of the other people traveling around with them?
We're all kind of one big family. We keep in touch. Sometimes we do group messages together.
Cool.
We still do events with each other once in a while. All the characters, all the developers, we all keep in touch through Facebook and all that stuff. So really, we haven't lost touch at all. It's, I know, I can call John or Ed anytime I want, and everybody's really great people. They're really great to hang out with, and it's like, we're family.
That's really cool, and it's good to have that. Have you ever had that kind of a family experience in other jobs, or is this the most tight-knit one that you've had?
Oh, this is definitely the most tight-knit one. Especially because Mortal Kombat just keeps going on and on and on. We're on, 10 now? And every time a new game comes out, we get taken out of the woodwork, and the fans remember us. Here we are 25 years later. And I think the fan base is still just as strong as it was back then.
And expanded now, too, because now you have not just people my age, I'm in my 30s, so I grew up playing Mortal Kombat 3, for example. Now my son is 14, and he doesn't, but he could, be growing up playing Mortal Kombat X, and a lot of his friends are though.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of kids his age. So in Mortal Kombat, it was already controversial for about violence in video games, and I think that controversy had died down by the time Mortal Kombat 3 came out. Were you aware of it at the time, and did that in any way influence your decision to take the role?
We really focused on what martial arts was about, especially when we were on tour, because parents did not want to bring their kids to this violent video game live show.
Sure.
And so we actually did a lot of PR work. I did quite a bit myself. They would fly me ahead of each city, and I would do radio shows, TV shows. I would talk in elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, and we would talk about what martial arts actually was all about, believing in yourself, respect, just a lot of really good things come out of martial arts, especially if kids join it. They learn that it's not just to fight people. It's a lot more than that.
Definitely.
Yeah, especially just respecting the other person. The last thing you really actually want to do is fight. So, and of course, it's not real. Video games are not real. And
video games are not real. That's a really good point.
It's really impossible to tear somebody's head off with their spine. So, I mean, I think it was so far-fetched that we finally we started to get accepted by the public, and they did start to see that martial arts, their kids wants to get into martial arts, and then they see this improvement in their behavior and what it was all about. It was just, I think it was a good thing, except, video games just got more and more outlandish and violent, and some of it turned into bad stuff, and I don't really have that much of an opinion. I'm not a gamer.
Right.
So, and like there's video games out there that I wouldn't want my kids to play today.
Sure, and that was actually one of our next questions, and I think, Zach, you had a follow-up for that.
Yeah, I wanted to know, at what age would you have let your daughter play Mortal Kombat?
Oh gosh, she was playing it. It was fun, to use my character. It was her mommy. She would see it in an arcade or whatever, and I would let her play it. And to her, it was just her mommy and in the TV. So I don't know. Gosh, she was probably maybe 4 or 5.
Okay.
But she's not really that much of a gamer. She just got a new boyfriend who's a gamer now, and so she's starting to get into the video games. She's 16.
Do you think that it's pretty cool that you were in Mortal Kombat?
No, she thinks it's she thinks it's kind of weird because all of her friends and stuff, they think it's really cool that her mom's in video games, but she's just my mom and she's a geek.
Yeah.
It's hard to impress your kids.
I feel the same way. I mean, I think it was easy until my son became over 10 years old. When he was younger, Daddy was really cool, but now that he's got like his own clique and he's a teenager, Dad's a weirdo geek dude who likes to play video games. Even though he likes to play video games too, it's just like not the same. It's really not the same thing. So you mentioned that there are some games that you would not want your children playing. What kind of games would that be like?
Well, the games where they're where it's really realistic and they're robbing people and killing people and
like Grand Theft Auto.
Exactly. I didn't want to name any names, but
yeah. Oh, we can say it. Those type of games.
Those type of games, right?
Where not only are they outlandish, but you could do those things, and it almost maybe glorifies a little bit.
Yeah. I don't see how that can be good, to learn.
It's interesting. We actually had a psychologist on, and the psychologist said that sometimes the fantasy prevents the act of actually really doing something. So maybe there's something to that. But yeah, I wouldn't let my kid play Grand Theft Auto either. just letting you know. I'm with you on that. I understand the science,
Right.
but I still wouldn't do it either. So you are now doing art
Yes.
for a living.
Yes,
How long
I am.
have you been into art?
It's been about 5 or 6 years now.
And where can we find images or your works of art on the internet?
Oh gosh, I'm all over Facebook. It's at Kerri Ann Gallery, Instagram, Twitter.
And we'll have those links in the show notes.
Yeah, and I do have a website. It's kerryann.gallery.
And now here's a really interesting question. There's been some debate for many years now. And from your perspective as an artist, do you believe that video games are art?
Oh, definitely. Oh my gosh. I think that's how I bonded with the developers is we would talk about, everything starts out with a drawing or a painting or whatever. I remember sitting in John Tobias's office looking at his sketches and stuff. It was a lot of fun for me. I kind of really enjoyed going behind the scenes as well as being in front of the camera.
So I think that's really cool because you bring up a really good point that doesn't get talked about a lot. The art actually really begins before the game even becomes code, right? Because they're sketching it and they're drawing it. And then it becomes a final product, and the final product is a result of accumulation of a lot of different artwork, isn't it? Music.
It really is.
That's a beautiful way, I think, of looking at it. And I think, Candi, you had a question along these lines.
I want to ask if you've come across other people in the industry when you've worked on the Mortal Kombat games, if they felt the same as well, if it was art or not, or if it was just another job.
I don't know. I think you kind of have to be an artist to be able to appreciate what they do. As far as the characters go in the game, I didn't really have any conversations with the other characters on how great it was, that they started out as art.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I had more of my art conversations with the developers. And it was kind of funny because I didn't start painting until like 6 years ago and started posting my stuff on Facebook. And, a few of the developers were like, hey, didn't know you could do this.
I can't wait to check out your artwork.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I actually had to quit running because of a condition that I was diagnosed with. So I started painting and didn't know it was even in me. It just kind of came out. Sure, it's not really a big deal. It's called Ehlers-Danlos. Type 3. There's different types, and some of the types can be fatal. But I'm happily just type 3.
The fatal type.
Yeah, it's about 1 in 10,000 people who have it, so it is quite rare. You know those Cirque du Soleil people with they're contortionists with the stretchy skin and all that stuff, the circus people with the stretchy skin.
Yes.
Yes.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
They all pretty much have Ehlers-Danlos. It's a hypermobility problem. Everything likes to stretch, but it doesn't stretch back. It's the reason I had my first twin boys too early. I've always had problems with dislocating my joints and all that stuff, and I never knew what was wrong. And when I started marathoning, I was having all these injuries, and my doctor was like, you're doing too much. I'm like, I'm not doing any more than the average marathoner. And I finally just started researching it myself, and then I met somebody who actually had the condition, and she had these ring splints on to prevent her fingers from dislocating. And I was like, where did you get those? I have this problem. Like if I open up a pickle jar, I dislocate a finger. So we started talking about it, and it was like our lives mirrored each other. So I found a specialist here in Chicago, and within 5 minutes of being in his office, he had diagnosed me with this. And it's been life-changing, because when you finally make sense of your life and why your body does certain things, you can prevent injuries and you can have a better quality of life. So it has actually helped me to find out what was going on. My dad used to make me do all these tricks at his parties.
And if someone is wondering, who's listening, is wondering if they have this condition, you should go to their doctor, and what kind of specialist should they ask to see?
A geneticist. Pretty much. Well, it's a bunch of physical tests, actually. Like if you can touch your thumb to your wrist.
That's a sign.
That's one. Putting your palms flat on the floor in front of you with your legs straight, if that's easy for you. If you hold out your arm and it looks like your elbow is hyperextended, that's another one. If you can stick 4 of your fingers in your mouth and your mouth be wide enough to clear that's another one.
Uh-oh, I just did it.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that's trying some of these tests as we're going through this.
I bet listeners at home right now are doing the same thing.
Yeah. And people with Ehlers-Danlos have like a really soft, velvety feeling to their skin.
Yes, I have an ex-girlfriend who had not this one, something like Julian, something else, but the exact same symptoms.
Mm-hmm. Your skin stretches beyond the normal range.
Well, I'm glad that we got into this area to help promote awareness to this that we had no idea we were going to get down to. Kerri, do you have time for a quick lightning round of fast questions?
Sure.
All right. What do you think of Sonya in the new Mortal Kombat game, Mortal Kombat MKX?
Sonya's looking pretty hot.
Oh, yeah. What's your favorite costume that Sonya has worn?
I would have to say the black gear with the black hat.
That's a pretty cool one.
Yeah.
Who is your favorite Mortal Kombat character? I think we know.
I'm going to have to say Sonya. Sorry.
Obviously. Do you have, just to satisfy the reader's curiosity, do you have a second favorite?
I'm going to have to say Jax.
Not Johnny Cage, who Sonya has a child with in the game, Jax.
You know...
Is it because of your friendship with their person in real life, or is it he's just cool in the game?
I just like him in the game. I like his arms.
When you were working on Mortal Kombat 3, what was your favorite memory?
The stunt work. Them saying, hey, can you do this? And then me doing it and taking the step further.
Is that also like your best moment is working on the stunts?
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. I mean, I remember we were doing it in front of a green screen, and they're pioneers in what they were doing. But the computers couldn't keep up with them. They didn't have enough RAM. And so, of course, the computers would crash all the time. And I'd be working by the hour, and they'd be like, oh, we're so sorry. I'm like, that's okay. Just take your time. I'll wait.
Was it very rigorous to do the mocap? It must
No.
have been. No?
No, because you're just doing a few moves.
You're posing, kind of.
Yeah.
Or doing it slowly.
It wasn't that big a deal to me. I mean, I was used to staying in a frozen position, from modeling.
Absolutely.
For hours. I thought that this stunt work was actually easier because you could keep moving.
The next question is, do you like how you looked in the game? Do you think the resolution was too low or too high after you saw the final product? Were you pleased with what you saw?
Oh, yeah, because they paint you afterwards. Make you look good whether you do or not. I remember sitting in the office with John Tobias once he was working on Sonya, and he was basically just painting my face over again. I'm like, gosh, can you do that in real life?
And we're running out of time, so I'm going to throw it to Candi. Candi had a really good question, and I think it would be perfect to wrap up with. Candi, take us home.
My question is, where is the craziest or weirdest place that you have been recognized?
I would say probably in my own home.
Really?
Hey, is there a story behind that?
I was selling my van.
Oh, gosh.
And I put it on like Auto Trader, and the guy who bought it came to pick it up, and evidently he had done some research on the person who owned it, and he came all smiles, couldn't believe he was buying Sonya's van, and still texts me every once in a while. He still has the damn van. It's like 6 years later, and he can't get rid of it because, it's Sonya's van. So he actually texted me just recently and said, "Do you have another van that you're going to sell?"
Now, is that cute or is that like creepy?
No, I thought it was cute. I mean, he's harmless. He's harmless.
So funny.
Did he bring stuff like to autograph?
I can't remember. I don't know. I don't think so.
And Kerri, before we conclude, because we're out of time, is there anything else that you want to talk about?
My husband's getting discharged any minute here, so it's amazing. They do robotic heart surgery now. He just had a double bypass yesterday, and he is going home today.
Wow,
It's
that's
just amazing what they can do now.
Yeah.
I wish
He
you
didn't-
speedy recovery.
Thanks.
Oh, absolutely. That makes me nervous for you, but I'm so happy that it's turning out he's getting discharged and everything's going to be okay.
Yeah, it was a rough day yesterday waiting 6 hours through surgery, but today's like you just have a new outlook on life, and he's going to live a better quality of life longer. And it's kind of funny because before, I mean, I don't mean to get in too deep here, but
Sure.
you start to make plans for dying, and and then suddenly you have this new lease on life, and you look at life a lot differently. The sun's brighter today, and there's just so much relief I have right now.
I'm
that
so
I know
happy
my
for
husband's
you
gonna be
guys.
with me.
And how are your children handling?
Right, this is my second marriage, so my kids. I've only been married to him for a year.
Oh, wow. That's a big test after a short
Yeah.
time.
We've known each other. I've known him since I was 19, so we've always been friends.
Oh,
Oh, that's so sweet.
that's a sweet story.
Mm-hmm.
He's a great guy.
You have 3 children. Tell us about your kids. Nothing too personal that you wouldn't want the public to know.
I have 4 kids.
Oh,
I
4
do
kids. I
walk you
apologize.
I have 2 boys who are twins. They're 21. They were born 2.5 months premature, so they have cerebral palsy. They're severe. They're in reclined wheelchairs, nonverbal seizure disorders with, they're fed through a tube in their stomach. And they'll be with their parents for the rest of their lives. We refuse to put them in a home because I think that I'm totally capable of taking care of my own kids, so I keep them home, and I wouldn't want anybody else to take care of them. They're doing very well. They're very happy boys. And then I have a 18-year-old boy who just graduated from high school.
Congratulations.
And he's working full-time right now. He's not sure about the college thing. He's thinking about it. And then I have a 16-year-old daughter who's more work than all of them.
So how is it different raising a boy and a girl?
Like black and white. It's totally different. I realized it when she was 2 years old. Having 3 boys.
What was the moment of realization? What was the epiphany?
Boys are like laid back, they like their mom to do things for them, and they're like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I remember being at Target, and I thought Leah needed some new shoes, so she was with me. I had her in the cart, and I had let her out to look at the shoes and stuff, and so I pick out these little tennis shoes for her, and I turn around to go put them in the cart, and she's on the floor with her legs spread, shoes off, shoes all around her, and she's trying on every single shoe she can get her hands on. And I thought, this is going to be different. And she wasn't going to let me pick out the shoes.
So in all the time between, birth to 18 years old, what has been your favorite age of being a mom? Of a kid? 8?
8 months.
8 months. You had that ready.
Yeah, that is my favorite age. And
Why
I've ever
is
met.
that?
Oh my gosh, they love you so much, and
Oh,
they're
know.
not looking for independence. They're fun. They can't walk yet.
Good point.
They're just totally dependent on you, and they love you, and they can express themselves, and it's just a fun age.
It really super is a fun age. I really liked all of them, and my son's going to hate me for saying this, I liked all of them up until about 12, in that preteen years. Everything was really cool. And then it becomes hard. It's like, man, parenting really is work like everybody says it is.
Yeah, they turn evil after 13, I swear. Especially girls. Oh my gosh, as soon as the hormones hit the girls, it's like, oh my gosh, why did I have kids?
Because, you know, but you still love them.
Yeah, mostly.
It must be, you know, a really challenging experience to raise for 21 years and then, you know, going on in the future, your twin boys who have the severe cerebral palsy. Do you have advice for other families out there who have a loved one in a severe condition?
Yeah. At first, everything is, you don't know what the future is holding. And I think what you fear the most is that your kids aren't going to be happy. And parents kind of have a lot of control issues when it comes to their kids.
Mm-hmm.
Just love them for who they are. It's such an amazing time for me with my boys. I'm honored to be their mother. I'm honored that the Lord would actually put this kind of responsibility in my hands, because anything that my boys know or learn is what I bring to them. They can't walk, they can't speak, so they can't go out there and learn and touch and feel and taste and look at everything. You know, whatever they know is what I bring to them. So that's a huge responsibility.
Absolutely.
You know, and just being happy with who they are. My boys are so happy, and I thought, oh my gosh, they could never be happy with the way that their bodies are. They're like a prisoner in their own body, but they're happier than anybody that I know. And,
and I would imagine if you don't know anything different, though.
Mm-hmm. You know, you just take what you can get from them, and don't try to fix them. Just do what you can to make them comfortable and have a good quality of life. You know, be a server.
So you are more worried about their happiness.
Yes.
What would you say to people who are struggling in the same situation you are, who are struggling with their own happiness?
The only way you can make yourself happy is if you do it yourself. If you need a lifestyle change, then do it. Do something to make yourself happier. Give yourself something. Don't be lost in your special needs kid's identity. That's not your identity. You need to have your own identity.
That's very, very well put.
And 90% of marriages end because of special needs kids. You have to make time for each other. And that's where my first marriage failed. We didn't make time for each other. It came to be where he had his own life and I had my own life, you know, because we were always doing for the kids. You know, it was too hard for us to both go out or go on a trip together. So one would stay with the kids while the other left. And then pretty soon you turn around, you don't even know each other. So, you know, prevent that from happening if you're new in all of this, you know.
What are ways you can prevent that from happening? Are there services that can say we can watch them for a weekend while you go on a trip to somewhere?
You look to the state. The state has a lot of help for special needs people. And, you know, lean on your family, ask for help. You know, don't think you can do it all yourself.
Do you have a greatest moment in Kerri mom history?
Oh gosh, I think there's a lot of them, especially at the births.
When your kids realize you're right.
Oh my God, okay.
You know, like when you tell them not to do something over and over and they argue with you and they do it anyway and they fail on their face and then they look at you and say, Mom, you were right. Oh, that's amazing.
I must say that is one of the most satisfying things ever.
Yeah. My son, I remember when my son was like 10 years old, he was sliding down the stairs on a piece of cardboard and I said, Sam, don't do that. You're going to hurt yourself.
He had to do it one more time, and he knocked himself against the wall and broke his elbow. And I'm like, what did I say?
That's a hard way to be, right? But you were.
Yeah, I made him wait until the evening before I brought him to to the doctor too, because
Oh, God.
he was afraid to cry and pretend that it hurt, he was still kind of crying about it to the evening, and I go, maybe we should bring you to the doctor. So we do. We find out his elbow is broken. It felt like such a bad mom, but yet I was like so right.
Now, does he think it's cool? Because you said your daughter thinks it's geeky. Does he think it's cool that you were in Mortal Kombat?
My 18-year-old boy is he loves his mom. He loves his family, and he doesn't get embarrassed by his other friends giving him crap for stuff. He owns everything, and he's not really affected by peer pressure. So, yeah, he thinks it's cool. And it's just different for girls. Girls are more emotional and afraid what everybody thinks and all that stuff. But
now, if we were to ask any of them what the greatest moment in Kerri's mom history was, what might they tell us?
oh, it's not anything I can probably tell you that would be legal.
Okay. Well, I think
It's usually letting them do something that's illegal,
I got you. No. We don't have to go any further. Kerri, I just want to do a time check. It's been 31 minutes so far.
Yeah, I should probably get back down there and see.
Okay, good. Well, that was a really good place to end, I think. You are incredibly charming, wonderful guest. Thank you so much for agreeing to be on the show today.
Well, thanks for having me.